to the K, to the K.
WWE and UFC's merger is complete, but what does it all mean?
Do we call him Matt Riddle now? So not to digress. Riddle has been pulled from this week's WWE RAW following an incident in an airport.
Hopefully not Ric Flair-esque. WWE trying to sign LA Knight to a long-term deal, but he's playing coy.
Interesting. Well, Ace Steel has been released by AEW again.
Audible announces a new podcast about Ashley Massaro and WWE.
Drew McIntyre has still not signed a new deal with WWE, apparently.
Apparently not. Gunther becomes the longest ever reigning Intercontinental champion.
Nice. Well, the Dudley Boyz have signed WWE Legends contracts.
Will Ospreay quits 1PW?
Oh, damn. Well, Bryan Danielson is set to retire next year.
And Nia Jax returns. What? Anthony Wenzel is coming up.
Right freaking now.
Yes, it is.
So,
Endeavour.
Yes.
Endeavour to the end. UFC, WWE, they have merged when two become one. They become two TKO Group Holdings Limited Square.
Right. What's with all the names? So, Endeavour own it. They're going to be called TKO, but they're still going to have their own subsequent brand names?
Sort of. So, Endeavour acquired UFC. They've now acquired WWE, but as of the structure of the new deal group partnership, they're now being called TKO as a collective.
So
I think Endeavour still own it, but WWE and UFC's thing is now TKO. That's the sub.
But it's still going to be WWE and UFC respectively, right?
Yeah, but that's what's trading on the stock exchange. So if you want to buy stock, you buy it in TKO.
So the only thing that, like, this feels like some sort of fucking weird tax situation.
Yeah, maybe.
Like,
possibly.
There's 3 companies, and now we have one new name. I don't know.
But yeah,
business for you.
So you've rebranded to TKO.
What does it mean for working relationships? Do you think we're going to see more UFC involvement in WWE and vice versa?
What does it mean for a lot of things?
Do you think we'll get pyro in UFC?
Maybe. So they've alluded to, they've like launched everything today, and they're basically saying they're just getting started, and they've used like "Are you ready?" from the DX thing and all that. So they're alluding to stuff happening. But it's like when they announced the merger and the deal, everything was meant to be kept completely separate.
I love it. It's like, "Are you ready?" And it's like, "You're released, and you're released, and you're released." Oh,
yeah. I mean, to be fair, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, because now that this deal's taken place, when they first announced it, they can't remember the word they used, but it was like a really shitty backhanded way of saying we're gonna release a load of people. It was like
streamlining.
Yeah. So
we're gonna trim the fat.
Yeah. So obviously UFC has got a shitload of like marketing people and, you know, fucking all these other divisions. WWE have got all those other divisions. Why do you need them there if they're the same company now?
I mean, honestly, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So
it's like, how do we merge the writing teams?
Interesting. But yeah, so you would imagine, unfortunately, now that this deal's gone through, we're likely to see a number of backroom cuts over the coming months.
I wonder though, do you think this is going to affect WWE potentially more if they try and use like their, let's say, their, you know, technical side of things, like their music, their soundstage, their lighting, all that kind of stuff, and they're going to try and pull all that existing UFC stuff to save themselves some money? Do you think it's going to be more likely to be to the detriment of WWE, that their production is obviously a lot higher and probably costs a lot more? So if you're merging teams, like, and you're cutting people, it's going to be from the bigger production, isn't it?
Maybe. I mean, it could be the opposite. They could go, well, actually, these guys have got more experience on producing bigger events, and as a result, we want to make UFC
ones just like, bye.
Yeah, so, yeah, but ultimately, they've got a lot of people now doing a lot of the same jobs for what is now the same company. So when that usually happens, yeah, unfortunately, people tend to get laid off. You also got to think as well, they've just started floating on the stock exchange. So to be as profitable as possible for the investors, they want to streamline, trim the fat.
The investors.
But again, I don't want to be speculating on people's livelihoods, but does this now mean there's going to be a change of, you know, for the rosters of both companies? You see UFC fighters get cut all the time, but theirs is legitimately if they lose like 3 or 4 or 5 fights in a row.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Structurally, it works different, doesn't it? So,
whereas in WWE, it's like, what are they going to do there? But
wait, you have to lose 5 fights in a row?
You
to
don't have to.
UFC?
You don't have to.
Well, CM Punk's a clear 9. You don't have to be.
Like, yeah. Some people come in and get beat once, and then that's it. They're done. Some people sign like 3-fight deals, 5-fight deals, and whatever. But if people come in and they're not doing the best, then usually they're cut pretty quick. But yeah, WWE side is completely different. But you would imagine we're going to see some sort of cost-cutting measures across there as well. So I reckon we're likely to see the backroom stuff take place first over like the next month or so.
Day.
Yeah.
I mean, all I want to know is like how soon before somebody storms the Octagon with a steel chair.
I mean, yeah,
I'm thinking Undertaker probably.
Well, you've got the footage, haven't you? You want to do it? Him and Brock? Yeah, make it work.
Day. Sorry.
Yeah, so I don't. Obviously, no one knows what's going to happen at the minute. The deal literally closed today, so yeah, it's very, very early. But I imagine we're going to start to see some of those kind of cost-cutting measures and streamlining.
Yeah, and, the likes of Vince and that have got to finish counting their money. And...
Well, yeah, like obviously people are like, this is the first time WWE's not been owned by a McMahon and all that, and it's like, yeah, we get it, but ironically, now he's going to be probably back and more involved again.
I mean, it's the thing, like, what is the impact? Like, company-wise, yeah, but from a control standpoint, it seems like Endeavour were keen on having him at the helm, so...
Oh, yeah.
Not the Helmsley. Anyway.
I believe he's like the chairman for life, basically. So until he dies, he's going to be there. Is the deal that he's basically made. So
I feel like, I don't know why the NWO music just hit in my head.
For life. But yeah, so he's going to be back. Obviously, he's had major surgery as well, so I don't know what level of involvement he's going to have. People are already going, oh, did you see Raw last night? It was, they ripped up the script, and I was like, did they?
I don't want to be insensitive here, but do you reckon when he was there, like, I want to be in charge for life, and Endeavour looked at the age of him and was like, yeah, all right,
yeah, maybe
we can do that.
He did the Playboy Bunny approach to life.
Nice.
Way up. So just closed, expecting big things. Obviously, they're hinting at big things in terms of both brands coming together in some way. Like, I don't think we are going to see like steel chairs and
no, but the UFC spinner title's going to be fucking awesome.
Well, yeah. But yeah, interesting. But hopefully, it's not a lot.
I just really hope that the merger doesn't result in basically Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler type matches.
God, yeah, could you imagine?
Look at the production.
So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Indeed. So it's a bit of a chaotic one, this one, Carl. So Matt Riddle recently posted a tweet on Instagram. Right. Yeah. I know the internet.
Down with the kids.
I'm down with this. Down with the kids. And basically, he put up a picture of a TSA TSA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, TSA officer, guard, whatever. Saying basically, I'll paraphrase because he's now deleted it, but suggesting that he'd been sexually assaulted by the man or inappropriately touched by the man, and was highlighting this. And then the tweet was subsequently removed from Instagram because that's not where tweets go. And it seems that I'm not quite. This is the strange thing because WWE have stayed silent on the matter, but he's been removed from Raw. So there's something going on. Apparently there's an investigation going on to the incident. And then you're hearing now as well that police were called to the airport, but not because of concerns that Matt Riddle raised on his Instagram post. It was from him basically, what would they call it?
Being disorderly?
Disorderly behaviour. And apparently he was quite apologetic at the time and so on like that. But the interesting thing is, if something like that has happened, he hasn't raised it at that point with the police, and it doesn't appear that he's raised it officially in any sort of, legal sense or prosecution sense.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously subsequently deleted the post. So I'm not saying it didn't happen, but you got to wonder, like, has there been, like, if it did happen, has WWE been like, remove that, we don't want any fucking press over this, or what? This is a bit fucking crazy. And I sincerely hope, like, it's, how do you put this? Because I was going to say, I sincerely hope he's just having a fucking moment, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, in any case, it's either a cry for help or someone's fucking assaulted him and no one's taking it seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, in both scenarios, a bit fucked, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I really don't know what to make of this one.
Yeah, obviously, if he's been assaulted, that's fucking horrendous and he's investigating straight away. But also, you can't disregard the disorderly side of things. So he's literally skating on thin ice with WWE at this point. He's had that many, wellness violations and suspensions for various things. Yeah. By all accounts, he was pulled from Raw this week and pulled from the upcoming house shows. Yeah. I think Ringside News are reporting it's because of an illness, but it's like, that's a convenient time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I honestly don't know. I just hope for his sake as well that he's all right in all the regards. Do you know what I mean?
No, of course, yeah.
I hope he can stay on track for the company, and I hope if something did happen to him, then it gets sorted. But,
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's the one thing that worries me is that, like, if something happened and then just not taking it seriously, it's like, get over it. It's like, well, that's pretty fucked, isn't it?
It is.
Like, and I hope that's not the WWE approach. And I'm not. It's hard because I don't want to make it sound like I'm making assumptions. I don't want to be one of these clickbaity things that go WWE squashing it there, because that's not, like, I don't know the facts of it. It just seems odd that he was so adamant in his post, putting up pictures of the guy and everything, and then it's like, get that removed, and he's now not on Raw.
I think he put another one up, didn't he, which basically said something along the lines of never flying here again or something. It was just a picture of like him in an airport. So yeah. Yeah, hopefully it all gets resolved anyway.
Indeed.
Speaking of things that we're looking to get resolved, so WWE is trying to get LA Knight to sign a contract extension for, I think they want like another 5 years out of him or something. So it's worth noting, I think he's under contract till the end of 2025 maybe. So he's still got him for a couple of years, but as an indicator, that clearly means that they see big value in him and they want to lock him down. It's funny when WWE are like, we want to get you down on a long-term contract. It's like, but it doesn't work the other way, does it? You'll sign for the 5-year contract, but still doesn't mean you won't release him tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, you signed the deal, but and I've just been speaking to Endeavour actually. And,
yeah, exactly. So it's an interesting one, but apparently the word doing the rounds is that they're miles off in terms of on money, hasn't he? Apparently LA Knight wants more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They offered him a deal and he was like, nah. Let me talk to you.
Give me the money. So yeah, which is an interesting one.
Indeed.
He'd mentioned before that he's been financially motivated. That's why he stayed at Impact longer than he probably wanted to, because it was the first time he's making money like that. Yeah. And the NXT offer.
I mean, how else do you buy shoes of a champion?
Well, exactly. And get wasted on champagne. So yeah, interesting one, but positive that they're trying to sign him. But interesting that the evaluations are far apart. So.
Indeed. And, like, to be fair, I think he's definitely, like, even when we weren't massively keen on him, and I must admit he's grown on me in recent weeks. And it's not just because him and Kevin Nash are beefing, but in a way it kind of is, and I'll explain that in a sec. But, like, I think it's clear from the audience reaction, the star power there. So they'd be absolutely nuts to not invest in him. So how many big stars have you got up and coming right now? You know what I mean? But going back to the Kevin Nash thing, like, I don't particularly, I'm not like made up he's throwing shade at Kevin Nash. I'm not fussed on that either way. What I do like is that's, to me, the unique element, isn't it? He's not just coming out spitting catchphrases as he so often gets accused of. He's had I believe comments made about him on Kevin Nash's podcast, and he's thrown a little back, and it's just, to me, that's just banter. It's playful, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't know if that makes his promos and his work more organic to me. It's like, well, that's just not you coming out going, yeah, it's actually something that is amusing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he needs to do more of it, to be honest, because
I totally agree.
I do worry. Like, the fans are proper over on him, but it's like, he isn't that good in the ring, and he does just have a couple of catchphrases.
The in-ring work is I'm still not. I don't think I've seen, and this is the strange thing about him. I still feel like I've not seen enough of him in the ring. I feel like he has way more talking points than he does matches. To the point that I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I've seen the Bray Wyatt match and the Miz one. Yeah, that's it. Like, where's the other matches? Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, let's see what happens.
So Ace Steel, Carl, in a move that surprised absolutely no one, Ace Steel has been released by AEW. For those of you who are surprised, really? Now it seems that they haven't really given any detail on it other than, he's been offered his release after the whole incident with CM Punk, and I think the only reason he was still there was because of CM Punk.
Yeah.
However, when you read elements of it, they were looking at maybe doing more with him, interestingly, before this whole incident happened. they were talking about coaching and various bits like that, because obviously he's working a producer role, or was working a producer role. So they were looking at maybe extending what he does. Obviously he'd worked coaching CM Punk, I assume not in anger management, but it seems now that Punk was the linchpin for Ace Steel, which doesn't surprise me. It didn't seem like he was very well liked.
No.
Especially with biting people.
Well, yeah, I think the belief was that he was still going to be around for the next year or so on a consultancy basis, working from home, like out of the way.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, to your point, like, who's he consulting for? He was there because of Punk.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. So
exactly. It was just to keep Punk quiet, I think.
Yeah.
So they got rid of the biter.
Indeed. So, yeah. This next one's pretty tragic, to be fair. But Audible have either released or releasing very soon a podcast about Ashley Massaro and her time in WWE. Obviously, with a big focus on the alleged incident that happened at Tribute with the Troops, for the Troops, whatever it was called, where obviously there was a case of gross negligence that she's alluding to, resulted in some abuse on Ashley, and obviously, as we know, many years later, she's committed suicide.
Tragically, she was. I mean, I suppose everyone can sort of have an opinions on this, but I've always said she was a future star, which is just a shame how sort of things worked out there. But she was more one of the breakout stars of that era, really, wasn't she, in terms of uniqueness?
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, so obviously, it's such a, it's kind of fascinating in a way. That's probably the worst word to use. Like, I kind of want to listen to it to see what the investigation that they're doing.
No, I do take your point.
But I also kind of don't want to listen to it to know.
Yeah, it's like, it feels weird that you want to listen to it, but I do take your point.
Yeah. But yeah, like, obviously, it's believed that the whole incident was kind of swept under the rug, and obviously she was told to just kind of forget about it and carry on. And obviously she ended up getting released, and I think I spoke about it much later in her life, and then obviously ended up taking her life. So I don't know if it was directly to do with obviously the trauma she suffered but
I'm not saying, again, I'm not suggesting it's directly to do with it, but it'd fuck you up, that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well,
especially getting told to fucking just leave it all be, and then getting released by the same company as well.
Yeah, I know people have spoken kind of at length around what supposedly happened, and I know at the time I couldn't read it all. I got to a certain point and was just like, nah, I'm done. I'm kind of noped out. So that's what I mean. I'm kind of I want to kind of know, but I don't at the same time. Do you know what I mean? But if you are obviously a follower of this, or you've never heard of it before, then Audible are covering kind of the allegations in some kind of...
Do we know what it's going to be called, or is it...
it's called Ashley versus WWE, the story of wrestler Ashley Massaro.
Okay, so, for those who are watching and wondering where Carl went, he's old and can't see things.
Yes, I need my glasses. But yeah, so it's one of them. You can check it out on Audible if of interest.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah. So, Carl, Drew McIntyre, evidently, and to be honest, I personally, in reading what Drew said, don't think he's actually said he's not signed a new contract. He just didn't give them anything, really.
Yeah.
But the suggestion is that Drew McIntyre has not actually signed a new deal. So the belief has come more from trying to get information from WWE than Drew. So Drew was asked about it, and he basically pushed away from the contract stuff and was just as basically, he's enjoying where he is now. He just wants to put on the best show for wherever that show is, and I'm great with journalism.
Oh, yeah.
And that's his concern right now. He's happy where he is. He's just going to keep going. But he didn't actually say, "Yeah, I've signed on for X, Y, or Z." So that starts the thing. But when they've asked WWE, it's sort of, again, no official sort of statements to say yes or no. But the suggestion seems to be that there was time left on his contract because of the timeout he had due to injury, that his existing contract would have took him to around WrestleMania 40 anyway. And basically their concern right now is dealing with the merger. Yeah. So it seems almost like they haven't agreed anything, both being professional about it. He's keeping to his contract and they're keeping to not releasing him in 90 days. And they'll work it out. And it seems like, I don't know, like from what I'm reading, if that is the case, it doesn't seem like Drew's worried about working it out. It just seems like it's a case of, well, we'll sort that later.
Yeah.
Which, I got to admire that. It's professionalism, isn't it?
Yeah. It's interesting,
But I
like his
don't-
position on
again-
the card since he come back. I remember he came back and it was like a feud with Gunther, and it was like, oh okay, and then now he's just like in some weird like beef with like Xavier Woods, and it's like,
Well, just anyone, because hasn't he picked on Jey Uso quite recently as well?
yeah. So
I don't like you.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So yeah,
Some angry Scottish bloke backstage.
yeah. It kind of just feels like he's just just there floating around, not doing a whole lot. So I guess maybe he's using some of this to see, well, how are you planning to utilize me? I don't want to sign a contract and do.
Well, yeah,
nothing,
it gives him time to sort of have a little mess around, I suppose, doesn't it? Yeah.
doing a mess around. So yeah, Drew.
He's going to take his kilt and his sword and go home if they're not careful.
That's why he hasn't signed the contract, because the pen is actually on the bottom of his sword, so he's got to like lift the whole fucking thing up. So it's a big process. So I mentioned Gunther, and yes, praise all round. Short and sweet this one, but yeah, newsworthy nonetheless. Gunther is now the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. Can't remember the exact day. I think it was 454 days or something. He's now surpassed of the Honky Tonk Man.
Well, it's increasing every day, mate.
Well, exactly. So yeah, just a big congratulations to Gunther. So obviously, with big respect to Honky Tonk Man.
And he even got pyro, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. So just a big well done to him, and let's see how long he keeps it now. Nice one, fella.
Nice one, lad. Right, Carl. Quick update here. Dudley Boyz. A lot of people have recently seen them on Impact 1000. Great to see them back in the ring. Great to see them back together. I believe we've seen them do like Comic-Cons and various things like that, but we haven't actually seen them in the ring together until Impact 1000. So obviously it's rekindled everyone's love for Team 3D or the Dudley Boyz as they are.
Yeah, including WWE.
We've now had confirmation. The Dudley Boyz have signed a WWE Legends deal with WWE Legends deal with WWE, as opposed to AEW.
Sound like you
wouldn't sign a
WWE, TKO.
It's a TKO
Endeavor.
Legends deal with Endeavor and WWE.
Yeah.
So they've signed the Legends deal.
So what you're saying is we're getting the tag team cage match in UFC 300.
Yes.
Okay.
But basically, it's sort of, they work for WWE, but not properly, in the same way that a lot of WWE Legends have these sort of contracts, like some Mick Foley and the like, where they can do their own shit. It seems they can do that. I don't know where WWE are involved in that, whether they go like, we want a cut of the pie. I don't know. But they can do their own shit, but they obviously have the Legends deals for the merchandise, for showing up at certain things and so on like that, which is great for them, isn't it? Because it means we might get some Dudley Boy appearances as and when needed, whenever we do like a special Raw and they bring all the Legends back for Randy Orton to beat up. Things like that.
They'll be on like Most Wanted Treasures and things, which tends to be
yeah. But it's really nice to see, especially because it seemed like maybe there was a bit of a cloud over the way Devon left, but it's nice to see that doesn't appear to be the case, I guess. And he obviously didn't allude to it when we spoke to him. He was quite happy where he was, but he did mention, maybe wanting to get in the ring again with Bubba, and I think that might have just been the only way to do it. So I get it. He doesn't work for NXT, but hey, he's happy and they're happy, so everyone's a winner, baby.
Yeah. So this next one, there seems to be some controversy with the new ownership of 1PW, the UK's promotion. So they crowned the best wrestler in the world, TM, Will Ospreay, as the world champion not that long ago, and reportedly they've not been paying the talent, so they've come and worked the show and then they've not ended up getting paid for it and stuff. So there's a lot of there's a lot of kind of stuff swirling around at the minute around not being paid, or kind of stuff going on from like a I don't want to say a booking standpoint, because I don't mean the matches, but I mean like contractually and that kind of thing. But yeah, basically Will Ospreay has been one of many now who are basically kind of saying they're done with the company. I think the majority of champions are basically saying...
That's mad, because they seem to get like a lot of good people in the last year or so, and they seem to be really doing well.
Well, they were gone for such a long time. They came back under new ownership, and it was like back with a bang. They had fantastic people there wrestling for them, the likes of Will Ospreay and Mickey James.
Well, they even had, like, when you look at like current big company stars, like they even had Malachi and that, didn't they, as well?
Yeah. They've had they've had Ruby. Ruby as well. They've had loads. So it's an interesting one. But basically, Will has said that he's not gonna support a company that doesn't look after its talent, basically. So he's done. So yeah, it's a worrying times for them at the minute, but hopefully everything gets sorted out, and hopefully if it is like they've not been paying them and stuff, then hopefully that all kind of gets put right and they can bounce back from it.
Indeed. So, Carl, I think we may have hinted at this one last week, but it seems sort of a lock right now that Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryanson, whatever the one he is this may be his last year actively in the ring this regularly. So he's made it clear that he promised his daughter when she turns 7 that he'll start winding up his wrestling career. And, that's obviously in a year's time. And, he's going to have a hell of a year. He's going to make it a hell of a year. But he basically, this might be the sort of the farewell tour, if you will.
Yeah.
Now, he hasn't ruled out making special appearances, and that obviously could go for anywhere, because presumably when he's saying about his last year, that would be no longer working with AEW. So maybe he could appear in multiple different places.
Yeah,
I'm not saying WWE, don't want to do that.
Yeah. I still think Tony will lock him down in some capacity.
I think, well, that's the other part of this. Tony is very interested in having him involved in a creative capacity, and he's not said yes or no, but he has said he's got to consider what's best for his family, and he's got to put his family first, and he's always been a man of his word in that regard. So I think if it works best for his family, then that'll happen. Now, we all know Tony is quite a family orientated guy, and I could see them probably reaching some sort of arrangement here.
Yeah, 100%. I think we're both family guys as well, aren't we? Not Peter Griffins, but
no, we're not funny.
I imagine if like any of our kids came up to us and said, "Oh," and you'd be like, "Oh yeah," you know what I mean? Like, it must be horrible to hear that. Like, you're gone.
I'm actually annoyed my kids aren't like. I want you to stop working in a year. Like, okay, for you, I'll retire now. But no, they don't even fucking ask.
I know what's going on.
Anyway,
but yeah, like, it must be hard for him to have his daughter say that to him and stuff, and feel like he's missed out on a lot of things. He's tried to be there and things. So
it's you know what? Like, how do I put this? I probably shouldn't say it on air, but when you're like, I'm not a career person. Like, I enjoy what I do for a living, right? So I'm a career person in that sense. I always want to do my job to the best, right? But like, I wouldn't say I'm like completely and utterly impassioned by what I do. Right? I'm not living my passion. You know what I mean? So I'm really intrigued by this dilemma for him, because obviously he loves his family, and I totally get that bit, because that's the bit I understand. I love my family, I'd do anything for them, but
he loves the business.
He's doing what he loves. This is his passion, and it was taken away from him, and he got it back. Do you know what I mean? And the fact that he gets to do something that he absolutely loves, and now he has this sort of dilemma of like, I have to give that up for my family, or that's the perspective, isn't it? Like, and it's not like a stupid kid or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, that must be a really tough thing to do, because part of him will obviously still want to be in the ring, but he's got to consider his age, he's got to consider his health, and and the risks involved with such a physical career, and go, maybe he does need to wind it up, and maybe he needs to honor that promise. But like, that's the bit I am fascinated by in a way, because I'm like, that would be a really easy decision for me if it, like, when you look at it as like having a job, but obviously this is more than just a job to him, isn't it? So that's the bit that I'm like, I'm trying to get that. Do you know? I'm trying to understand that.
He also got the luxury of, like, he's made a fucking absolute fuck ton of money, so it's easy for him to go, I'll stop working next year, kid. You know what I mean? I don't think we're all able to kind of say that.
Let me just grab this last briefcase.
So I think I do think Tony will try and keep around some capacity in a creative side and stuff. I don't think he would leave to go back to WWE, but then I didn't think he'd leave to come to AEW. So
I think it's more if he leaves in like a I'm fully retired sense, and then it's like I might do the odd appearance here and there, then I could very much see him almost like a Legends deal where they're like, we're doing Raw 1000 or whatever one we're on now, and they'd be like, I'll come back for it, we'll get some yes chance going. I could see stuff like that if he fully retired. If he's obviously working behind the scenes in a creative capacity, maybe less likely, but
never say never.
Never say.
Speaking of never say never, we never thought we'd see Nia Jax back again. Well, here we are.
I dare say, I don't know how you feel like this. I know we've never been massive on airing ring work. I like this return.
I did. I thought it was good. I think Rhea Ripley has kind of dominated the women's division since she's been champion. She kind of almost met a bit of a match in Raquel Rodriguez, but she beat her. And then obviously she was having another match with her last night. And then all of a sudden, the Nia Jax equation comes into things.
It's not. I didn't even think about this as a way of returning, but this is fully like, okay, throw me around, bitch, kind of thing.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah,
that was fucking good.
Yeah, I think I wasn't that annoyed by it. I know a lot of people, usually the ones that like to complain a lot, on their shows are very much like, oh, it's ruined again and all that. But like, just give it a fucking chance.
I know, yeah, she's literally been back all of 5 seconds.
Yeah, she come back and it was actually quite a good return. So let's see.
This is the thing. This is all right. This is probably not the best way to put it, but she's as competent in the ring as Hulk Hogan ever was, and we get hyped up when he returns.
Yeah.
But no, like for me, I'm like, okay, I totally understand people's gripes with her in ring work, and honestly, there may be some legitimate claim to like the injury stuff, but she gets like probably a bit too much unnecessary heat now for like, oh, she just injures people. It's like she's been going around breaking arms for the last 5 years, which isn't really true. Like, there's been some unfortunate incidents, and she may have been a bit careless. But like you say, you got to give this return a chance, man.
Well, I mean, Ronda injured quite a few people. Do you know what I mean? When she was in the ring and was very green doing what she was doing, and people didn't seem to react the same way to that. So. Yeah, I mean, when we saw her at the Rumble, I was like, oh, she's back, and then she just disappeared forever, and I was like, now she's back. So let's hope she stays around for a bit, and let's see what happens with Rhea Ripley.
Or Rhea just beats her, and then she's done again.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Fuck this.
So yeah, that was another fun-filled episode of the Ringside Report. We don't even call it the Ringside Report anymore, but it is. That's what it is.
That's a good point, actually, yeah.
We just do straight into the headlines. We don't even mention it, but another fun-filled episode of the Ringside Report. And yeah, I do all the usual stuff. Do the likes, do the comments, do the subscribing, the rating, the reviewing, and
all that good shit.
All that other stuff. And yeah, what do you think about Nia Jax return? Let us know in the comments, and also the same for all the other news. And we will catch you on the next one.